Welcome to Carleton's Math Corner. Today we are going to be discussing percent and estimation. At this time, please make sure that you have your math journal as well as a smile, and then please take out your vocabulary packet. Our target today is I can estimate a percent of a number with a percentage less than 100%. And then we're going to later also talk about percentages greater than 100%. So let's talk about, let's look at our first example. It says, in a recent year, quarterback Carson Palmer completed 62% of his passes. He threw 520 passes. About how many did he complete? Now what we're going to do is we're going to use estimation to at least get an answer that's close to what our exact answer would be. And the reason why we're doing this is because in real life, if let's say I'm at a restaurant and I'm trying to figure out what percent tip I'm going to give my waitress or my waiter, I usually just do it in my head. Like I try to figure out how much about 20% is. I figure out how much 10% is, and then I double it. And so that's what I want you to do is try to figure out, I want you to get to the point where you can actually do this without a calculator. Okay? And so looking at this, what I'm going to first suggest is that we always round our percent to the nearest like 10. Okay, and so 60% is really close to 62%. And so that's why I've rounded it to 60. Okay, so if I set this up, I have 60% out of 100, and I is about 520. And so 60% of 520, I'm trying to figure out about how much is that. Well, to find 10% of a number, all I do is I actually notice 10% only has one zero in it. And so what that means is I just move my decimal back one place. So 10% of 520 is 52. Okay, so if 10% is 52, what would 60% be? What would I have to do? Yeah, just multiply by 6 because it's six times that amount. So if I take this and I multiply by 6, I get 312. So 60% of 520 is pretty close to 312. Now I could do 52 plus 52 plus 52. I could do it 6 times, but this is just a quicker way of doing it. So this is just an estimate about how many he completed, about how many passes he completed. So I would put a label of passes completed. Okay, let's look at our next one. It says box turtles have been known to live for 120 years. American alligators have been known to live 42% as long as box turtles. About how long can an American alligator live? So an alligator only lives 42% as long as box turtles. That means the box turtle lives longer. Okay, so first of all, what percent is really close to 42%? Yep, 40%. And then our box turtle is 120 years. And we need to figure out how much 40% of 120 is. Okay, so if I'm looking at this, how much is 10% of 120? Remember, what we do is we just move that decimal one time, one place over, so it is 12. So about 12 years is 10%. That's 12, but we want to get to 40%. So what do we do to get to 40%? Yeah, take 12 times 4, and I'm not sure why this is there. Let me get rid of that. and that equals 48 years. So an American alligator lives about 48 years, which is still, a great deal of time, especially when you consider that, like a dog or a cat, they live about 10 to 15 to 18 years at most. So that's quite a bit of time for an animal to live. Marita decides to leave a 20% tip on a restaurant bill of $13.87. About how much money should she tip the restaurant server? And I don't know why that keeps showing up, but let me erase that again. So let's do 100, and we don't really need to round 20% because it's already at 20. But let's do, if we can't round the 20%, could we round the dollar amount instead? Yeah, let's round it. Let's round it to about $14 to make it easier for us. I do this all the time when I'm in the store. I always round mine to the nearest whole number, and I usually round up just so that my waitress or waiter gets, the highest tip. But so if I take 10% of 14, what would that equal? Remember, move the decimal place or decimal point one place. So it would be 1.4. So it's like $1.40 for every 10%. So how do I figure out for 20%? Exactly, just double this. So that would be $2.80 tip. I could estimate a percent more than 100%. Oh, we could do this. Okay, so let's first of all round. What is 122% close to? Remember, round to like the nearest 10%. So that would be about 120%. 100 still stays the same. 50 we could keep. So, okay, this is a little bit different than last time because we have 100% plus we have an additional 20%. So let's work on the 100% first. What would 100% of any number be? Yeah, it would be that number. So if I have 100% of 50, how much would that be? 50, you're right. And then if I want 20%, remember how to find 10%? Okay, how do you find 10% of 50? Well, if I move the decimal point once, that would be $5. And I want 20%. So I have to do 5 times 2. And so that would be another $10. So if I start off with $50, because that's 100%, and then I add another $10, where am I at? So my estimate is about $60. Nice job. Okay, what about, and I don't even need to put a dollar sign because I guess this wasn't dollars. It was just a number. Let's do one more. 174% of 200. Well, what can I round 174 to? 170. Nice job. And out of 100. Now, honestly, if you're having a really hard time with this, then set it up as your estimate and just do what we did before. Multiply. Okay, so do your diagonal and go 170 times 200 divided by 100. You would still get back to the answer that we need, and the answer is 170. Wait, that doesn't make sense. Let's try that again. I think I put it in wrong. 170 divided by, or I'm sorry, 170 times 100, or times 200. 170 times 200 divided by 100. 340. That makes more sense because I know that this is out of 100%, but this is out of 200. So I should have been able to double my amount to make them equivalent. And so that's why I knew this was wrong. And I can always check my answer. 340 divided by 200, 1.7. Is that the same as 170 divided by 100? Yes, it is. So my estimate of 340 is correct. What I would like you to do is try these following two problems as your ticket problems. Thank you so much for joining me at Carlton's Math Corner, and I look forward to meeting with you again.